Hello, my friends, and welcome to another devotional connection. 1 Samuel chapter 17 through starting at probably 50. It 17 tells the story of David and Goliath, and right about verse 50, it says a single sentence that just kind of resonated with me today. It says, David triumphed over the Philistine with only a sling and a stone, for he had no sword. And I thought about that for a second. You know the story well, and you've gone over the story a million times. It's one of the most famous stories in the Bible, and the Bible being the most famous book on the planet. But you have to take in sometimes the small details and really think them through. Here is this giant raging back and forth, scaring the entire Israelite army. This muscular teenage boy who's been out there working in the shepherd's fields, who's the youngest of his brothers, comes. The youngest in a family of 8 comes, and he's just there to do some errands for his dad. He's not there to fight a battle. He's not a warrior. And yet, he has learned from being out there in the field about the armor of God, because the biggest piece that he took with him had to be his shield of faith. Faith enough to trust what God was going to do. The shield was strong enough to shield him from what his brothers were saying about him being prideful and arrogant and just wanting to see a battle, about him not being able to do it. He had enough courage to not use weapons and armor that wasn't tested. He went out there with what he knew. He had a leather sling and some stones, some smooth stones that he found on the ground. But the biggest thing he had was faith in his God. Faith in the one who had gotten him there all along. Faith in the one who had helped him face lions and bears and beasts before. Faith in the one who'd gotten him through the long days in the fields by himself. Faith in the one who'd fed him and looked out for him. Courage that was battle tested. And he goes over and he defeats this giant with a sling and one stone. And I began to think about the incredible pressure that was on him and the skill in which he used that stone with. It's a delicate thing to use the tools that he had. It's not like, if I were to grab my baseball bat, or if I were to grab, run you over with a car. He's doing something that requires control and precision. He's doing something that requires for him to be patient and wait for the right moment and sling. His whole body has to be working as one. And the piece that's driving all of this is his faith in God. And you know the story. One sling, one shot, giant down, head cut off, army routed. As far as we know, God's never done it like that again. He's used other means every single time to show his might over the people who have their faith in him. He cuts 30,000 men down to 300 with Gideon. Doesn't even tell them to go with shields and swords. Tells them to take lanterns and pots and pans. He makes it sound like a multitude of armies are coming to the enemies of Israel when it's just some lepers walking down the road. When the armies weren't enough, he sent an angel down and slew 185,000 men. God does it any way he wants, but in all cases, the key point was the faith in God. Even with the lepers, they took a risk. Listen, we're gonna die if we stay here. At least if we go over to the enemy, they might feed us. What kind of faith did it take to try something instead of sitting around doing nothing? It's incredible, the faith they had. And this young man prevailed over a giant prevailed over the army of the Philistines using a smooth stone and probably a well-used, well-worn out, handcrafted sling. To be a warrior in God's army, to be a warrior of God, demands so much expertise and control. And the thing that you have to be an expert in is trusting God. And the thing that you have to take possession of and take control of is yourself. You have to do it His way. You have to do it when He wants it. You have to say what He wants. You have to deny yourself what you think you should be doing and what you think you're owed and what you think is right. You have to do it God's way, and that requires training. That requires you not going in with this broadsword and just cleaving folks in two. Sometimes you have to get to the heart of the matter because we're doing things with love. And yes, love fights. The Lord is a warrior. His name is the Lord. That was God's description of Himself in the Old Testament. Love will fight, but you have to do it His way. When we face our giants today, when we face family trauma, when we face our issues, remember, this isn't something where you just take out a broadsword and whack everything down. You take out some white paint and you white out the entire history of it over. This is something that requires precision and expertise. Be an expert in trusting God and take control of yourself. Hand all of that over to Him and let Him be in charge and watch what He does. Have a good day. Talk to you again soon.